Good morning. It's Sunday, September 29th. I wanted to talk a little bit about a variety that I've been growing for a few years, which I got from a friend whose family comes from Iran originally. And he's from was living in Falls Church and is now living in California. But he asked his family back in Iran about good varieties of figs that don't need pollination to grow back here in the US, and he was able to get cuttings of this one, which I got some cuttings from him, and this was about 4 years ago. I put this tree in the ground about 2 years ago. I'm sorry, it was spring of 2018. So it's been through one winter. And the name of this variety he has called Raasti Northern Persian Unknown, but I think he's now thinking that it should give it a simpler name. But this variety was found growing by his relatives along a town on the coast of the Caspian Sea. So it's in northern Iran. The thinking there is that they get a fair amount of wet, rainy weather as well, like we do here in the mid-Atlantic in the late summer, early fall. Maybe it would do well. A lot of the wet, rainy weather affects ripening of figs. Some figs split and are really not very good under those conditions, and other figs do better because they don't split as much. So the thinking was getting a variety from that area that does well there, maybe it would do well here. But what we found, and I've distributed this variety to a number of different growers, and what we've all observed is this is an extremely early fig. It's a honey fig. When it ripens, it's yellow, and it has amber pulp. So I would say the ripening time is right around Improved Celeste, that of Improved Celeste. So it's amongst the most early figs that I grow, and I grow about 100 varieties. So very early, which is a big advantage for us in zone 7A or cooler zones. I found that it did, when I planted it in the ground, it went through one winter, and as is almost always the case, figs that were planted in the ground, and they die back their first winter pretty much to the ground, and this one almost did go to the ground. You can see what was left of the trunk there. A little bit of trunk was left, and then new buds formed in the spring and then grew these shoots. But very quickly after, in the spring, after it started growing, it started developing figs. So that's a quality that you look for in an in-ground fig. Some varieties just want to put on new growth and not develop figs. But this one and some others that I grow start developing figs pretty quickly. So here are a couple that are getting ripe. I think maybe this one it's probably not, it could probably use a little longer, but I'm going to go ahead and pick it. And it's not really leaking. Yeah, let's see if I can focus. Sorry about that. Anyway, it's not really leaking the white sap, so I think it's probably pretty close to being fully ripe. The eye is slightly open, but not too bad. They usually have sugar spots, so it's kind of an ugly fig when fully ripe, but that's the case for a lot of light figs. They get these sugar spots. So let me open it up and we can, I'll taste it and discuss how it tastes. So this is what it looks like, what the pulp looks like, kind of a reddish pink. I said amber a minute ago. I think when it was younger, it had more of an amber pulp, but now it's, I would say it's more of a pink. And let me try this half of it, and I'll put it on pause and do that. So it's definitely sweet and it has a honey flavor. I would say it's maybe not quite as good as one or two of the other honey figs I grow, but with all of its other qualities, it's definitely a keeper for me here. I think it's going to be a workhorse fig and produce lots of fruit, very productive. The size of the fruit it's just a little bigger than a Mount Etna is. So it's definitely got a permanent spot in my collection here. So this is Steve with Go Figure Farm. Thank you for watching. So this is what the leaves look like on this variety. 5-lobed leaves, very healthy. It's funny because in a container, it does, for me anyway, under my growing conditions in container culture, it often looks like it has a nutritional deficiency or quite possibly FMV symptoms. But then when I planted it in the ground and it came back from that winter damage, it looks totally clean. Actually, maybe there is one branch down here that still shows a little bit of that FMV, but all the other branches look really healthy.